Always takes a second with StreamYard. All right, and we're back with the show. It's Gerald. It's Gerald coming right back at you here, and I'll tell you what, it's that time again. It's September. The fall season is kicking into high gear. I mean, just all the premieres are coming out, all the great shows, all the great sitcoms, all the great drama shows, all the great, all the great live action shows, all the great, all those other awesome shows that are coming out. It's just truly a great time for television fans out there. They're going to see shows on all the broadcast networks. Cable's got a lot coming up as well. And of course, streaming options, more and more about as the days go by. But here to talk about the fall premieres coming up and what's coming ahead with all the stuff coming out this fall with a lot of the shows that are expected to come out and what's the prospects for them. Rumors. You know what? I'll start over. It's a great time of the year for all the, it's that time again. It's the fall TV season. A lot of awesome shows are coming to television on a broadcast and cable and even a streaming format. A lot of people have their eyes on, they're focused on what's going on with the TV world out there. And of course, we cannot talk TV without our good friend. She is one of the awesome writers for the TVRatingsGuide.com. You got to check out all the great things that are going on there at the TVRatingsGuide.com. Plus, catch her new show. That's right, her new show, Jessica's show on Anchor, which also gets distributed out to places like Breaker, Google Podcasts, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Spotify, and so much more. It is my good friend. She's back once again. It's Jessica Boggs. Welcome back, Jessica, and hello to the fall TV season.
Well, it's only a couple more weeks until the fall TV season.
Well, I already know some are coming out now, but also, as the months, as the days get closer and closer to October, a lot of stuff is coming on the back end of September. So it's leading into that time of the year when a lot of TV is expected to start rolling out, and all the broadcast networks are all riding high on some great shows that they're looking to go ahead and present to their audience.
I think it's like a great thing we got some new shows that are coming out pretty soon. And first, we're going to probably have to talk about ABC.
That's right. Let's start off with ABC. A lot of stuff going on there. Just so interesting to see how still a priority ABC is, even with all the stuff that Disney is focusing on. Obviously, their own products, Marvel, Star Wars, Fox, all that stuff going on there. FX, they've got that now into the kitty. So I want to hear your thoughts on what's going on with ABC and their plans for this fall.
Well, Dancing with the Stars is going to be the one to premiere Monday night this upcoming week. And then the following week would be ABC Premiere Week. The Good Doctor is going to be the one that will premiere first, followed by all the other shows. And then the last shows to premiere for September will be most of the Sunday night lineup. Can't Say the Darndest Things is going to premiere the week after.
Well, I'm telling you what, those kids can't say enough darndest things. As I heard your most recent episode about the Good Boys, which I'm happy for their success and the success of Seth Rogen, because he's had a very good year with that, The Boys and whatnot. But I'm still kind of ashamed because I think Booksmart is one of the 10 best films of the year so far that I've watched. And unfortunately, even though it delves onto a lot of similar topics, it didn't get quite the love that the Good Boys got. But you know what? Got to go and check out Jessica's show to hear the rest of that and the rest of her thoughts on the Good Boys and all that. So getting back to ABC, do you see them going ahead and having some shows that really will connect with an audience outside of their maybe three, four shows that always seem to find an audience? Do you see anything breaking out from the pack as far as any of the new shows or any shows that you think will find an audience?
Like I said, most new shows are at the 10 p.m. time slot, which means not as much with viewers, but they have to expect something else to hit. Stumptown, maybe it might not hit as much. Emergence probably might not hit as much because of the Tuesday 10 p.m. def slot implications, because they just moved the Rookie, that was a Tuesday 10 p.m. part, and they moved it to Sunday.
Well, The Rookie, to me, I think is on borrowed time. I mean, it's a show that, especially with the allegations that happened over the course of its first year, it's a little bit of trouble production. I don't give it a whole lot of time. That's just my personal feeling. You may feel otherwise, but like you said, when you put it into what you call the Sunday death slot, it seems to go ahead and never find any success there. But I'm going to give you something right here. I think you mentioned it barely, but Stumptown. I think with Colby Smothers, I think this show might work. I think it might have a little bit of a style. I've seen a little bit of the footage that's been out there. It might have enough style to attract an audience, but I'm just going to throw it out there. If there's any show on ABC that will have any type of new audience brought to it, I think it's going to be Stumptown.
I agree.
So what do you got ahead next for our friends at CBS? Because as you know, over the time that we've known each other and time we've talked to each other, you know I've had issues with the CBS same old. And they're tried and true formula, which at the time we started talking was working for them, and they were on top. But unfortunately, the changes in whether it's a younger audience, millennials, about that, the audience has changed and shifted away a little bit from CBS and gone to other places, including NBC has been the biggest beneficiary of that. So I want to hear your thoughts, what CBS has planned this fall, especially after some shows. Of course, a really well-known show has now retired, gone off the air. So now they got to find other things to take its place.
So starting with the Monday night lineup, it will be premiere week on the 23rd, starting with the comedies, The Neighborhood, and then Bob Hart's Abishola. And then the last two premiere after all these shows premiere, it would be Madam Secretary becoming the last show to premiere in October.
All right. And any of these shows that are coming up, or any of the new stuff that is coming up, is there anything that you might think might garner a larger audience or might recapture some of that CBS magic?
I think it would be more likely the comedies part. The comedies are going to probably recapture some of the audience. However, Evil sounds pretty interesting. Whether it would retain some of that audience and be solid, but I don't even expect any of the rest of the dramas to set the ratings world on fire.
And that's something we've gone over and over again, because we find some of the, I don't know, I find some of the most lackluster television to be on CBS. Just seems like they're going through the motions on certain occasions. I mean, some of the worst television that we've described over the course of years has been on CBS, especially their dramas, because they seem to follow a certain formula. I'm hoping they'll break out of that, and I'm hoping they'll go ahead and be able to gain some interest with the audience. And because I think ABC and Fox, you can blast them all you want, but they're at least willing to try different things. I see differences. I see a variety more on those networks than I ever see on CBS. And I think that's the problem with CBS, is that it's not only now your mom's or your dad's station. It's not even theirs. It might be your grandma's and your grandpa's station. And the fact that all these long-running shows that they've had are now starting to die off. They're now starting to go ahead and retire or get canceled or what have you. You're not bringing new shows into the forefront that are going to go ahead and help garner a new audience. So that's something CBS has to consider. And I know I go on this soapbox every single year, and you've heard it every single year almost now. But it seems to be something that they need to take heed of, and that they need to listen to going forward. But we've talked about
I think especially with the merger, that might be somewhat of a different story, but I'm not quite optimistic on that.
I'm hoping it'll do more to invigorate not only the Viacom brand but the CBS brand. I'm hoping it'll bring both those conglomerates to the a little bit higher echelon than what they were before. I mean, obviously that's the goal. So let's hope that they meet those goals and exceed them as well. Okay, we've talked about ABC, we've talked about CBS, but we got to go to the broadcast leader right now in NBC. So I want to hear your thoughts on what NBC has planned for this fall. What are some of the standouts? What are some of the standouts that are coming back or coming to NBC?
Before I was so rudely interrupted, I apologize. I'll go back. So
No worries. Just start off with NBC.
Well, NBC. Well, there's not much because NBC is like the number one network. It's kind of like the usual suspects with The Voice and This Is Us still being the top of the networks. There's probably not that many standouts, for example, with the new comedies that they got. The 30 slots after Superstore and The Good Place, those shouldn't have been touched or broken up, honestly, but it's the business.
Let me ask you this. Do you see a day when you're talking about breaking up? Because I have an affinity for Superstore. I've told you that also as well. But when it comes to Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which they put in that spot of Superstore during Superstore's hiatus and whatnot, do you see a point in time where they're going to add both shows and put them both in the lineup at the same time?
It could. Or maybe like Brooklyn Nine-Nine after Superstore, or in between.
Because is this the last year of Good Place, or am I mistaken?
This is the final season of The Good Place.
Okay, that's what I thought I heard. So, I mean, they could put Brooklyn Nine-Nine, because I have not heard any type of removal from that show. So you could see that happening for next fall?
It could happen. But as it stands right now, like Brooklyn Nine-Nine is in mid-season and it only has 13 episodes.
Well, it would be smart of NBC to put that instead of a brand new one, which may or may not find an audience. And at least Brooklyn Nine-Nine is something familiar. So if they put a Superstore Brooklyn Nine-Nine or a Brooklyn Nine-Nine and a Superstore for next fall, I think that might be the safer way to do it. But then again, NBC at number one can take those risks and take those challenges if they wanted to go ahead and put something new in that place of The Good Place. But yes, when it comes to This Is Us, it's now in its third season?
I think it would be season 4 coming up.
Yeah, season 4. Okay. So season 4, a lot is still riding high with that one because that came out of nowhere, became a big hit, and now it seems to be a foundational piece for NBC. What are you going to do? What are they going to do to surround that with some quality shows? And also the Chicago shows, what are your prospects for making, again, a continued story out of the Chicago series?
I'm thinking it's going to be, I think the Chicagos are probably not going to be affected by The Masked Singer. So they're going to be steady for quite some time. Whereas This Is Us is going to be somewhat in decline. We've seen this in season 3, and we're still going to see it in season 4, even after The Voice. And The Voice is also in decline too. And so NBC may have to rethink some of its strategies. There's also Bluff City Law, and that's going to be one of the ones to premiere first. And a lot of us are not too high on how Bluff City Law will do. I think it's going to do okay, but not set the world on fire type thing. A little better than The Brave for a couple seasons ago, or last season. Oh, it was a couple seasons ago.
Okay, well, and then there's also a lot of great things going on at Fox because NBC, like I said, still the leader, still out there doing the numbers. Fox, again, is an entity that I think really just goes out there and tries a whole bunch of different things, seeing what sticks. I applaud them for at least that part of it because they're willing to go ahead and take chances. What's up ahead? What's coming up ahead for the folks at Fox?
For Fox, they are going to premiere their shows next week, but Almost Family and SmackDown will be the last to premiere on the network. And so Empire is on a new night, and that's going to be airing its final season. It's on a 9 p.m. slot, but it's going to probably continue bleeding even for a final season. So we'll probably see how much it bleeds. But then again, 911 is becoming one of the cornerstones of the new Fox lineup.
And they've even talked about putting on a additional show and an offshoot of 911. Is that correct?
I've heard they're developing the spin-off of 911. Last time I checked.
And so there's a lot of good things here to say with 911 because they've seemed to have hit something right with 911. Animation domination, they've always seemed to do well with one exception. They've always seemed to have that one show that cannot stick with the entire group for one reason or another. What does Fox have this year on plate for its new show to add into animation domination?
I think with Bless the Hearts, the one thing is the one that doesn't even always work. It involves football numbers, and that inflates most of animation. And then once animation mostly craters, that show always gets the first to get cut from the lineup entirely.
Fair enough indeed. Once again, I'm with Jessica Boggs. She's one of the big time writers for the TVRatingsGuide.com. You got to check out all the great stuff that they're doing there, including daily updates on ratings, of course, because they're the TV Ratings Guide, but also as well, they have original programming, which only they have. So you got to check that out. Plus, also as well, you got to check out their original articles, reviews, and so much more. It is the TVRatingsGuide.com. Well, my friend, we talked about ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox. There's also some great things going on with your friends. Because they're not my friends at the CW. So tell us. Well, I got two questions for you. First of all, what's new at CW? What's coming up at the CW? And also, will there eventually be a 0.0 when it comes to a rating slide for a show on the CW?
Well, currently they premiered like the last of their summer shows. Like they premiered the last one, which was Red Bull Peking. And as I put it in, they only got like 239,000 viewers and so far a 0.1 in the demo, which likely translates to a 0.05 or a 0.06 between a 0.05 and a 0.09 in the ungrounded demo, which is not great, especially on Friday. Masters of Illusion did better in it. And so coming for October, you have the iHeartRadio Music Festival the week before, which is like the third whatnot. CW shows kick off October 6th. And then speaking of October 6th, we still have Dynasty, which is going to be in its third season. It's going to hit, whether it's going to hit the first ever 0.0 on broadcast since it's moved to 9 p.m. or not, well, we'll see. But we also have new shows. Nancy Drew, And what's that one other show? Oh, Batwoman. They're coming on tops for fall.
What's that other show? It's only probably their most important show that they've got out there. I've told you before, and we talked about Batwoman before. I like the angle that they're taking there. I like the fact that it is not going to be just what what would have been portrayed in the past. I like this angle where they're headed with it. So I wish for the best when it comes to Batwoman. I think it's a little bit of a fresh take upon the characters that are there in the whole Batman universe. So I wish all the best for Batwoman. And again, I don't want to be mean to the CW because I know I know I'm probably going to get a little flack out there for what I do in regards to the CW. I wish the best for them, but come on, you continually provide low numbers time and time again. CW needs to reevaluate stuff. Is it running at a profit when it does this? I mean, that's something that I would ask the TVRatingsGuide.com to do. You and the crew have got to get together. Continually low ratings below 1.0. Your advertising rates are much lower than, let's say, an NBC or CBS or Fox even. I want to know the residual effect long term for this. I mean, have they been making money? Have they been reporting generating profits from that? What does the CW get? What is the long-term effect of it? Because I don't see a happy ending for the CW because you only can sustain yourself so long with these small numbers from what I see as far as common sense is concerned. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am.
I'm thinking this because the ratings are also going down on all the other networks, and the league averages was fractional last year. And you also have, which means the hit threshold for the CW is like going to go to like 0.3, 0.4. That's the hit threshold. And now you have shows that are continuing pulling like 0.1s and 0.2s or low 0.3s in the fall. I think that probably need to reevaluate themselves because they changed affiliates in Chicago for like the third season, not in a row, but the third season in a few years.
And the only reason why I'm saying that is because you look at all the other networks that have performed really at a poor level. They usually, for some reason or another, for financial reasons, obviously, they're not able to sustain themselves long term. And it's the same thing when I talk to you about Freeform, and all the jokes I made over the years about the Freeform Net channel. And I don't know how much longer Disney wants to go ahead and say, hey, you know what? We've got this very small watch network. How much do we want to go ahead and sustain it? And the thing is, same as with CW. Warner Brothers heavily invested in the CW, and they see this low-rated entity year in, year out. How much more and how much longer do you really expect these big powerhouse entities to sustain these smaller networks? I mean, it really doesn't drive a substantial audience to their products, and that to me I find I guess it's okay because it provides diversity, it provides a variety, it provides something else for the consumer to watch. But when it's continually that low, maybe they could put their resources better somewhere else.
It's kind of like when you have like shows that do better in streaming, but the only show that was pulling in all the profit and from both streaming and traditional syndication was Supernatural, and that's ending after 15 seasons. Supernatural still airs on like TNT.
Yes, I do see the reruns of that. And I'm assuming that Supernatural gets more out of its syndication than it actually does from its first air running. I mean, that's just me, but I'm assuming that that's going to be the case. But Jessica, I want to ask you, we've talked about the broadcast networks. We've talked about some of the situations that are going on with each of them. I want to hear your thoughts real quickly on cable and what's going on with some of the things that are going on in cable. I know something that's always standing out on FX. I know AHS 1984 is something that a lot of people are excited by because it may reinvigorate the AHF series to an extent. But I want to hear your thoughts. What is going on with cable, FX, or anywhere else you want to go to when it comes to the world of cable?
Well, I think it's going to probably not set the ratings world on fire, but still do solid for FX. It's still one of the top shows for the network overall. But going on with like the past few months, like the past week and so, I was really disappointed, especially when a TBS show, Full Frontal with Samantha Bee, it came down to like a 0.19 this week, which was way down from like the August 14th episode and down from like the first half of the 4th season. But we're going to give that a pass because Wednesday was 9/11, but only time will tell. We have to keep watch on this next week. We're also watching the ratings for the live show, which airs also on TNT and TBS, called Chasing the Cure. But it's only doing okay. But it's not really setting the ratings world on fire. And speaking of MTV, the latest ratings for The Hills revival and Are You the One are terrible, which is pretty much an understatement. Hills scored a 0.17 this week, and Are You the One scored a 0.12 this week, which further points out the overall MTV ratings decline. I mean, you see this. I mean, I could give a pass with Paramount, like 0.12, 0.13, like Paramount Network regularly gets that with special programming, and we give that a pass. But MTV, especially one of the big networks, they have to reevaluate themselves. And then the collapse of VH1 is also evident when Love and Hip Hop Hollywood was at a 0.5 this past week.
So that's something to think about because, again, you're talking about the Viacom and also CBS merger. How many of these networks, how many of these shows are still going to get the same kind of love going forward? But with AHS 1984, it's a throwback to what we saw with the Jason movies, The Kids at the Lake, the whole 9 yards. I love that commercial that just came out for it. It's kind of truly just brings back memories of horror slasher movies gone by. But again, there's a lot to talk about when it comes to cable. So hopefully in your October TV update, you can get us up to date on what's going on in the world of cable, but also as well, focus in on some of the shows that are performing well early out the gate and some of the shows that are headed to a quick cancellation. My friend, it's just been great talking to you. Oh, one last thing. Apple Plus, $4.99. A lot of great shows that are coming to it. A lot of original programming that's heading to that network. Your thoughts on Apple Plus real quick before we head on out.
Well, it's kind of like it was their annual fall event on September 9th, which also had like the iPhone 11, 11 Pro, and then the 11 Pro Max. So this will be $4.99 a month, which is much lower than Disney Plus. And we're going to probably wait and see what happens next because this only applies when you bought like one of their latest Apple products. But we don't know for sure. But the shows that I heard they're coming out, they're going to set some records, especially with Apple TV.
But I don't know. I'm not so sure. I know there's a lot of good stuff I see. The morning show and some other things that they're going ahead and debuting on that network. $4.99 is an attractive price. Also, as well for Apple Arcade, they both talked about $4.99 being an entry point early on for consumers. But it's going to be hard for them to go ahead and compete with Disney Plus coming up with all the stuff that it can go ahead and showcase later on in November when it debuts, but plus also as well what Netflix has on hand and also CBS All Access and the whole 9 yards with everything that's going on streaming. But the price point, $4.99, is a great entry point. I think that's a smart move. Obviously, Apple can eat any of the cost by just selling some more iPhones or iPads to you, or anything else that's eye-related. But you know what? It's a good time for consumers out there. There's so much choice, almost too much. But you know what? With Apple, they are going to make their name they are going to make a name in the industry, I think, going forward. It just depends on whether or not they stay committed. They can stay up with Amazon Prime and Netflix and Disney Plus and CBS All Access and whatever the the Warner Brothers HBO Love Fest that's coming as well, the Universal streaming and all that. So it'll be interesting to see what niche Apple Plus makes over the course of the next couple of years when it comes to the streaming market.
I think also, because we've also read like yesterday that the CEO of Disney just resigned from like the Apple board.
Well,
And
I think that was a smart move. That was just a conflict of interest. I mean, you can't have Disney Plus and then say, you know what? Well, I don't think you should put these shows on Apple Plus because they'd be kind of too popular and they might compete with my own Disney Plus. You know, it's just it's a conflict of interest.
yeah, I would think it's like a conflict of interest too, but the media is like playing it as like, okay, there's this conflict between Apple versus Disney. And I'm like, no, it's just a conflict of interest.
Well, hello, they're still competitors, but they're still competitors though. Now, not right now, but by the end of 2019, they'll both be competitors competing for that market, along with with them trying to get each a piece of the big streaming pie that's out there. So I can't blame them, and I blame anybody out there for taking shots and whatnot. But yeah, they're both going to be competitors. By the time the end of 2020 rolls around, I see both as larger entities, especially Disney Plus. How big of a piece Apple Plus will get, I'm not entirely sure. They're the wild card in all this. I think they need more programming to come in there to get people talking. They need obviously shows that get people interested. The morning show and a couple of the other shows that they were presenting out there, I think are a good step in the right direction, but we'll have to wait and see how this transitions out. And I know we'll be talking about it here on the Pop Culture Cosmos. I know you'll be talking about it with the TVRatingsGuide.com, and I certainly know you'll be talking about it on your brand new show, Jessica's Show, which you can catch on Anchor and so many other different podcast outlets. Well, my friend, it's been great having you on the show again. Any last thoughts before we head on out?
Well, I'm thinking it's like, okay, any last thoughts? Well, we have the several new shows that are coming this fall to the TV Ratings Guide. One of them sounds like a sci-fi type drama, and the other one is site exclusive, TVRGO exclusive. And we have Network coming back for season 3, Writer's Block coming back for season 2, and a few others. And we have a spinoff of Finally Together called Finally Apart that's coming this fall too for reading of scripts.
Well, it sounds like the TV Ratings Guide is taking a little bit more chances than CBS, so that bodes well for all of the audience that goes ahead and follows your great site, the TVRatingsGuide.com. My friend, it's just been great having you on the show once again. Again, got to get you back on October. Got to get you back talking about all the great things that are going on in the world of television, what's hot, what's not. But if you need to come on sooner, just give me the high sign because you're always welcome right here on the Pop Culture Cosmos.